What's up, everyone? Happy Friday! You made it. It's the Friday Live with Lauren show. I'm Lauren, if you didn't know, but you do now. If you haven't been here before, welcome. We are so excited you are here. I have a fun guest today, very far away from me. Not the furthest away we've had on the show. We're going to have to do like a recap later in the year and really map out where everybody was from. But where are you joining us from? Is the first thing I would like to know. Would you let me know? As always, would you share the show? Did LinkedIn let you know we were live? I don't know. I put my phone on do not disturb, so I didn't get like a notification. Were they being nice to me today? I didn't complain about LinkedIn this week, so let me know. And then, yeah, where are you joining us from? Let us know in the comments. While you are doing that, let me look and see if I can find my guest today. Where's Brent? There's Brent. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going?
It's great. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm stoked that you are here. It is Friday. It is the last Friday in September of 2024. Can you believe it?
I know, and we've got a long weekend. We get 11 stat holidays in Vancouver, and so this is one of them. Monday's a stat for us.
Okay, so he's giving us a little clue. He's telling us where he's from. Where are you from? Tell
Oh,
everyone.
Montreal.
If people don't know, where are you at today?
Where am I at? I'm in Vancouver, in BC, up in Canada, if you can't tell from the accent.
It's not that thick. It's not.
No.
No.
I remember going for corporate training once for 2 weeks in Oklahoma when I first joined my company. And at the end of it, they did a recorded session of me in a one-on-one, and they played it back to me. And I was like, oh my God, is that how I sound to you people? Oh, like the whole time I thought we were all on the same page. And I was like, I definitely sound Canadian. So I'm sure there'll be try not to say A too many times and stick with the stigma.
We'll work on that. I think it's gonna be just fine.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very like touristy kind of area, went to college in a touristy area, and I bartended through college. So when I would talk to people, I would kind of pick up the accent of whoever I was talking to consistently. So every night people would guess that I was from somewhere different because it was whoever I was talking to the night before. I'd kind of sound like them the next day. So that was pretty interesting. I would love it if you would tell everybody. Everybody knows who I am. But tell the world, tell the network who's watching, who we're going to teach and give all these lessons to today, who is Brent?
Nice. Yeah. Well, thanks again for having me. So I'm Brent. I own a staffing and recruitment firm in Vancouver, Express and the Specialized Recruitment Group. We're actually a franchise. So I own the Vancouver location. It's a $4 billion crazy staffing giant, but we're much smaller in Canada than the US. There's about 50, 60 offices in Canada. And we obviously connected on LinkedIn, which is a platform we both spend a fair amount of time advocating for different things on. I started a podcast webcast a number of years back, and our core values are HR doctors through our company. And I spent a ton of time like advocating for businesses as a business owner, as the owner of an agency, as somebody who has employees, as somebody who helps companies hire and who helps job seekers get work. I try to advocate a lot online to help people navigate the challenges and complexities because it's changed so much, even in just the last 6 months, in the last year, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, it's nuts. And so just spend a lot of time advocating online, trying to help businesses figure out how they can hire better and help job seekers better navigate the craziness that is being an unemployed job seeker, because it's nuts and it's hard and it sucks.
It does suck. This is not your mama's job market, y'all. Yeah. Not at all. I think it's really interesting. You say the HR doctor. I love it. I talked to my nail guy. I call him Dr. Dan the man. And HR doctor is fitting too, because you're really trying to fix a problem, get to the root cause, and actually come away with a solution to fix it. I want to say really quick hello to some people in the audience. We got Tom from Boston joining. What's up? Hi, Tom. John is here. Happy Friday. Aaron Gibson, I think he says down below that he's going to be in your city next week. We got Maple. Yep, Tom. There we go. LOLO.
Shout out. He got the shout out.
And when he got an A, we got a few A's coming in. Oh, here we go. Small world. I was a contractor through Express. There you go. What's up, nice. Peter in Dallas? We got Andrew in Texas. Yep. There we go. Going to Vancouver. Oh, here we go. Canada. Oh, I love you guys. Okay, so we have some fun topics today. We are going to talk about 4 things. But before we get into that, you all know that we have some fun sponsors. Sendoso, their logo is right above us. We have a prize today that Ship to Canada. Did it for you guys. For you. So you can comment Sendoso. I'm going to drop that down below. I don't know why I'm echoing some days. Okay, and then let me show everybody. Are you ready? Where is it? Okay, so if you want to leave a high five for next week, here we go. I'm trying to move us so we're not covering our faces. I want to drop this at the beginning of the show. This is the QR code. If you'd like to leave a high five for the High Five Friday segment that Michelle Craig comes on and does in the middle of the show, that is the QR code. Somebody messaged me today asking for it. I couldn't find it quick enough, so I said I'd drop it here. All right, there we go. Are you ready to get into our 4 fun topics?
Let's do it.
I don't know if this one's even fun, but we're going to say it is. The oxymoron that is hiring. So if you're watching and you're like, what do you mean, Lauren? Have you ever heard of a hiring manager be like, man, it's so hard to find a qualified candidate these days. But at the same time, you're scrolling your LinkedIn and you're seeing like 650 million people just in your one feed alone open for work and like they can't find a job forever. So there's quite a oxymoron going on here that's in the hiring realm. And we're going to move into some practical solutions for candidates and for our clients. But Brent, can you take it away a little bit and talk to us about the oxymoron that is hiring?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's ultimately like the foundation of part of the program and why I started advocating a ton for people online. But as a staffing and recruitment firm, companies pay us thousands of dollars to help them hire people. And yet when there's all these people that are struggling to find jobs, they just don't understand that dichotomy of how those two realities can exist at the same time. And I think a big part of it is just how like the market has shifted and changed, and how the easy share of information and social media and all these things really change expectations on both sides. I mean, I've been going through this for a number of years, speaking to all sorts of different people to try to get to the underlying root of it. And my thesis, my belief is that the true underlying issue is that people don't understand the true cost of business. Like schools don't teach true business math. They don't teach like finance math. Post-secondary education, depending on the programs you're in, won't teach it either. And when you start a business, I mean, I was an employee for years. I managed a search division. I've managed sports stores where I had P&L of multi-millions of dollars. I still didn't understand it until I had my own company and I was the one paying the paychecks. And I think there's this massive like disconnect and it's not that employees don't care. I think they really don't know and don't have the visibility on it. And so it's something for our company. I do a quarterly P&L review plus cash flow for my team and show them everything, because I think people think as owners, like we have a safe in the back and that it's full of money and I'm piling it up like Scrooge McDuck. I know my team doesn't think that of me. And I maybe didn't think it of my bosses, but I think like, you see these layoffs and like, well, they just gave a raise to CEO, or the company recorded like record profits and this and that. And it's those things don't necessarily correlate. And so I think like truly one of those big things, as I mentioned, is the true cost of doing business and the true cost of employment. I ran a poll about a month or 2 months ago that said, what is the true cost of employment for an employee that makes $50,000 a year? And the options were 50,000, 60,000, 75, and 100K. 80 of 100 votes were between 50 and 60K. And yet the hard cost, the true hard cost to a company is about 75K. And then if you take turnover, training, lost opportunity costs, and bleed all those things in, it's actually closer to 100. Yep. And there's like a Harvard Business Review that did a study on that said the true cost is roughly $105,000 for $50,000 a year person. And yet we see people that are applying for entry positions, and you see this like frustration online of entry should mean zero experience, and that it's like I'm applying for a minimum wage job of wherever it is in your state or province, whether it's 12, 15, 10, I don't know, $20 almost here in Vancouver. And people are getting frustrated saying, you should just give me a chance. It doesn't actually cost that much. And it's like, we're not in a give you a chance market. Companies have been burned by bad hires that have cost them thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And as a result, they've got their guard up. And they're just, it creates this dichotomy where there's like this unfairness, and there's all these people that are struggling. And then there's these companies that want to hire, but say there aren't good people to hire. And it just blows my mind that those two realities can exist.
Yeah, but they do exist and they're coinciding right now, right? Yeah. So what do you say to the candidates who are watching and they're like, but what do you mean, Brent? But what do you mean?
Yeah, like about like the cost of business or...
about the fact that like we're saying that it's not a give me a chance market, right?
Yeah.
Because there are a number of people who, and I think you'll probably say that you experience the same thing. I talk to a lot of job seekers, and I've been searching for a job for 6 months, Lauren. I've been searching for a job for 9 months, Lauren. Why can't I just find someone to give me a chance? They won't give me a shot. What do you say to somebody who says that?
Well, one, I do free resume reviews, like legitimately free, and I don't have a service to sell on the back end of them. I do them in my spare time. I do them 20 minutes before my day starts and 20 minutes after. So if there's anybody that wants help, they can find me through my link, and I'll send them a link where they can book. I think like one of the things I share with people is the market has absolutely changed. Companies want to hire great people. Like I don't believe I think if there was 100 jobs posted, sure, there are maybe 80 or 90 jobs that are real, and there's always going to be some outliers, a ghost job, whatever it may be. But companies want to hire people. Are any of the companies you work with, do they have fake jobs that they're just wasting your time on? Or they, yeah, neither do I. We place people every single day. We sign permanent contracts. Like companies are hiring. The thing is competition has increased so drastically, especially in the US. There are companies that get 1,000 applicants in less than a week. We, on average, get 150 to 200 applicants. And one of the greatest like issues that we're seeing is candidates like not taking the time, A, to actually look and see the jobs that they actually fit for. B, they apply to just everything. And part of that's LinkedIn or Indeed or whatever job board putting jobs in front of you saying you should apply to this, and you hit the button. My suggestion to people when I meet with them is that if you are just starting your job search right now, and next week is a 40-hour week, that you should spend 70% of your time learning how to put a really effective resume together. And I think most people put 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe 5. I give an example to people all the time that I had to figure out how to create a landing page for my website, how to draw traffic to it. I Googled and opened up probably 100 tabs of every company that suggested this is what you need to do to figure out a landing page. I watched YouTube videos. I did everything I could to get as educated as possible and took little bits and pieces from everybody that I believed and used that to create the foundation of what I was building. And you need to do the same thing for your resume. A resume coach that says this is what you should do, if they do it for you and don't explain why, and you just do it because they say so, or you believe that you have to put 30 keywords on the top of your resume to beat the ATS or what, like there's so much bad advice out there. But if you just take it because someone says to versus you do it yourself, you're setting yourself up for failure. And so I think people do, unfortunately, a bad job of really making it easy for someone reviewing their resume to see why they'd be a good fit for the position. When they tailor their resume, they think that means like taking a couple buzzwords and keywords out of the job posting and putting them in. I literally had a buddy the other day who started his resume off by saying, I'm hardworking, driven, and like energetic. And I was like, why do you have those there? Like anybody can say that. He's like, well, I took those out of the posting. I did what you said. I'm like tailoring my resume. And I was like, that is not tailoring your resume. Like tailoring your resume is understanding they're an engineering firm that like does all sorts of different work. You're an accountant. You have to tie in your experience to help them see why your background, even though you don't have engineering experience, would actually relate to their business, not just put in 3 keywords. And so the way I've broken it down is 70% like actually building your resume and constantly working to develop it, 10% looking for jobs, 10% applying to those jobs, and then 10% networking with people after you've applied, instead of like taking a shotgun approach and firing rounds down range, making you feel like you're actually making progress. Just like taking really strategic shots with a sniper rifle, making adjustments every time, and actually like hitting a specific target versus hoping someone will give me a chance, because it isn't going to happen.
Yes. All right. So we're definitely into the practical solutions. That was a great practical solution for anybody who's watching, who's a job seeker today. One thing that you talked about that I want to bring up now, because we're going to talk about clients and that side of things, is you talked about people not really reading the full job description, not really reading the full scope of work, right? This happens, I think, too. I am not someone who posts a number of jobs that I'm recruiting for, simply because I like to go hunt for my candidates. And most of the jobs I'm working on are super, super, super niche. And it doesn't help me to post for those roles. Sorry, y'all. But I think it's super interesting when I do post for a role. So I did post for my chief growth officer role on Indeed, y'all. I posted it on Indeed. It's a lot cheaper than LinkedIn. Anyway, LinkedIn's going to shoot me next week. Okay, so I know that engagement's going to just go way down. But I posted a chief growth officer on Indeed, and there's a number of ways you can filter the role, right? And there's a number of knockout questions you can put in. Y'all, it's knockout questions. Your ATS kicked me out. No, it's a knockout question that's legitimate that we need to know. And then you went into a rejection pile. That's another conversation. But people aren't reading the full job description. This was a job description that was hybrid in office so many days a week. This was a job description that you had to have NASA, NOAA, and Navy experience. And I had a number of people applying from they were the general manager of the Office Depot for the chief growth officer role that I posted. Yeah. That's a $600K total comp. You have to be realistic in your next move as well. So I think that there's a disconnect between what's really happening when companies are posting these jobs. Some of them that I deal with, and I want to ask you about your clients, but the companies that I deal with, sometimes they just have so many that they're posting that they're not being super specific in each individual one, and they're just already overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with the number of roles they need to hire. They don't do the hard work in the job posting because their teams are overwhelmed, and then they're overwhelmed with the number of applicants and they can't get through them. So how do you help your clients? What are practical solutions for your clients who are getting too many resumes?
Yeah, if we'll go to candidates in another point, but for clients, I think one of the biggest disconnects I've seen is not spending the time on the front end to truly get deep understanding and alignment internally to really figure out what it is you're looking to hire for before you go to market. That is I've seen it where I literally just the other day had an intake with an HR manager. We go through a really comprehensive intake. We record it using Zoom, or you can use whatever you like. But we really drill into the nature of the vacancy, and really the nature of the vacancy. If it's a growth-oriented role, what led to this moment where you are now reactively saying, I need to bring somebody new on. If it's a turnover position, it's not just as simple as it turned over, the person quit. Let's drill in and see if there's any real underlying data and insights we can find to help us better understand how you can hire and retain someone in the future. We then drill into the org chart and try to understand both internally but externally how we'd advocate to an employee that this isn't just a chief people. I mean, that one would make a lot of sense. But for an accountant, yeah, it's an accounting role, or for your receptionist or whoever it may be. These are strategic positions that have an effect on the whole organization. How do they contribute? How do they work within the other departments? What part of the org chart are they in? Really helping understand what opportunities for growth exist. This is before we even drill into the actual role, responsibilities, details itself. One of my favorite questions to ask when I'm doing an intake with a client is, how long will it take this candidate, if they're the person you're looking for, to get to 80% autonomy where they can function fairly well in the role before they have to escalate the odd thing here or there? Is it a month? Is it 3 months? Is it a year? I've got some clients where it's up to 2 years, where it can really take somebody a lot of time to get up to speed in the role. And if that's the case, then we need to understand what we're actually looking for, what the growth is going to look like, what training, what's expected of them day one, even if they're rock star unicorns coming in, versus at a year, at 2 years, whatever that may look like. Getting into culture, value, mission, visions, if they have or don't have, because again, those are the things that a lot of candidates are looking to better understand these days that we didn't spend as much time on in the past. And then, of course, compensation, because everything else is great, but compensation matters. And then it's really about helping the client understand what the best way to go to market is. If you're headhunting, you can't expect just to pay mid or top range. You're going to have to incentivize somebody to actually make a change, and it's probably going to be from a financial perspective. And so really helping understand that whole holistic aspect of how you go to market before we even post a job. And when we post a job, whether it's them doing it with us or not, job postings are not external position descriptions. To us, they're marketing, they're sales strategies. They are about engaging a network of people and trying to get people to apply. And again, like you said, I had one the other day where we posted for a director of architecture, and we had 2 screener questions on it. And I think companies should use screener questions. I think they should put obstacles in the way, as much as candidates hate that. If you use Workday, I say use it and have people go through those. We don't, but I think if you don't want to fill the questions out, then you're self-eliminating yourself, and it's really important you will. I've never used it, so I don't know, but our 2 screener questions where you understand that if you elected not to answer these questions, you are eliminating yourself from the process. Yes or no? That was question 1. Question number 2 is, are you an architect? And out of the 150 people that applied in less than 48 hours, only 15 of them were architects. 60 people answered the question saying, yes, I get it. And whatever that was, 45 of them answered saying, no, I'm not an architect, but still hit that apply button. Like, that's what companies are up against, no matter what those screening questions were. But I think you have to know what you're looking for. You have to be super clear. You have to understand how it impacts the company as a whole, so that when you articulate those things to a candidate, so that when you post and advertise, so when you engage an agency, you can set them in the right direction and actually help you get a successful hire.
Yes. And a lot of times the agencies have the knowledge to help you actually write the correct job description and figure out the correct hire. I was talking to somebody the other day who found my LinkedIn and engaged with me. And, hey, I want to talk to you about filling this role I have. It's going to be a head of sales, blah, blah, blah. And we get on the call. Like 3 minutes in, I'm like, you're not hiring a head of sales. And they're like, what? And I'm like, this isn't a head of sales role. But I know that because I talk to a million people all day, every day. We fill all these roles. I'm like, you need this. And this is actually, I'm like, are they going to close deals? No. Are they going to manage people? No. Okay. Like, no. And we're narrowing it down. And I'm like, okay, so this is actually what you need to hire. They're like, well, I don't know what the compensation would be for that. I'm like, well, lucky you. You're going to work with us. We're going to figure it out. But there's a lot of consulting that goes into this process of really making sure that you're successful in that process, because I don't know about you, but I want a referral to another client. So if I can make my client successful, one, yes, you'll let me work on future roles, but you'll probably go refer me to some of your friends. So my whole goal is that referral once we get some people placed. Are referrals like a big part of your business?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're fortunately one of the highest rated firms in all of Vancouver, which is something we've been actively like making sure our clients recognize us for that, but also asking for that as well. But I think there's one other thing that I would add that I found really, really important, that anybody who's in a hiring position, whether you use an agency partner or not, as you're going through that process, is do a Zoom or whatever you can use and record it and really drill in and ask those questions to your team and get that really deep holistic understanding, and then take the transcript of that recording and pop it in a chat GPT. And we use that to say, help me create this really deep, comprehensive and complex framework understanding of all these different things. And then tell me what questions I haven't asked. Tell me like what else we should be asking ourselves. What else should we be looking for in a candidate? And then we go even further to go, help me create a really candidate orientated, not job description, external position advertisement. Of course, we use it as a tool. So we go back and modify, manipulate, and make it ours. And even further, like recently, the biggest transformation has been going and taking that intake and all that info and saying, how can I set my client better up for success by having some really great technical interview questions, some behavior-based interview questions, some fit-based questions, and actually hand that to them, because we facilitate interviews with a lot of our clients and sit in those interviews. And there's like benefit and like curse to both sides. But we've seen, I think, a lot of companies or people that are managers, or I saw one the other day where someone was a controller. They've been a controller for 10 years and they're like, I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert because I've been doing this for so long. And yet they haven't interviewed a ton of people and they don't know what questions to ask. And they kind of ask, like, literally they get in there, hey, great, thanks for coming on. Tell me a bit about yourself. And it's like, well, what do you want to know? Like, do you want to know that I have a dog? Do you want to know that I like to play golf? Or do you want to know about my career history? Maybe you want to know either. Then take that couple minutes on the front end and say, hey, my name's Brent. I have a dog. I love golf. Tell me a bit about yourself. And then you'll tell me about your personal life, or don't. Like, I think people do a really bad job of like framing interviews, and it's a muscle. It needs to be flexed. And again, the market has changed so much in the last, like, before the pandemic, post-pandemic, 6 months. Like, I think it just really requires a lot more skill and strategy from a company perspective to hire effectively, to avoid the red flags, to avoid the landmines, and also like see the true potential in people that could be a fit who have got in your process, because you can screw it up on both sides.
Oh yeah, on both sides. And from the candidate side, I think candidates know it's all about storytelling. Candidates get that. I don't think my clients understand enough that it's about storytelling on their side as well.
Oh yeah.
I think that that's also a common like gap that I'm trying to fill. I'm like, I'm selling you just as much as I'm selling them. You don't understand.
Yeah. And even just like how to create that comfort at the beginning. I mean, I think because we do it so much, we maybe don't coach our clients as much on it, but I literally have a little guide I'll send that says when they get in there, like start by introducing yourself, explain your role within the company, give a little elevator speech on who the company is, even though they should have done their homework and they should have Googled you. Let's hear it in your words, then explain the role. Like, it's great to read a job description, but you and I know if a client just sent us a job description and said, help me hire this, there's no way we could ever just use that to go to market. We would have to connect and ask and really find out more. Tell them in your words, like what it is you're hiring, why you're hiring for it, and then open the table to them and say, tell me a bit about yourself. And you'll be blown away by the amazing response you get, because you'll have primed it. You'll have greased the wheel and set them up for success and help them understand, okay, I'm going to kind of mirror what you just did for me and help you understand who I am, my background experience, why I relate to this role. And then you just get this really good engagement. But yeah, I think there's a huge miss often there on the interviewing side, because I think people are busy and they just don't have a lot of time to do it. And it's changed so much. And it's something that we're constantly involved in seeking information and listening to audiobooks or resources or things on LinkedIn. And it's not necessarily something that is as prevalent for them. So huge opportunity there for people.
Yeah. I also think there's a number of hiring managers who have been burned, right? And they don't necessarily, you said something that caught my ear. You said, set them up for success. And I remember when I first became a people leader and started actually interviewing and hiring, I wanted people to succeed in their interviews. I wanted them to do well. I remember working for Marriott and having to give star interviews and literally walking somebody through the interview like, okay, Brent, we're going to have a star interview today. That means you have to do da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, we're going to get there and I'm going to have to I'm just going to pause if you don't get there because I can't coach you once we start. Are you ready? But I wanted them to succeed so bad. And I don't feel like I see that as much with my hiring managers. I don't feel like I get that as much. And I want people to succeed. And I think that that's another thing. Sometimes if you don't have that passion, you got to take a step back and remember what it felt like when you were sitting on the other side of the Zoom call or on the other side of the table and how much you wanted to succeed in the moment. We don't all have our best moments. And if you're a candidate, one of my biggest pieces of advice to you is that if you finish your interview and you forgot to say something or you felt like you had an awkward moment or whatever, call it out in the thank you. Write a thank you email. Say what happened. Say how you feel. Be human. Yeah. Be human. Bring that human element to it. It'll take you so much further. Yeah. Any other things on this topic before we go to the half?
I think what you just said is such a great point. And I think it's because companies have been burned and sometimes people get a little jaded. And I think I've shared on this before. I think it's our job as recruiters to recruit or to interview with scrutiny and to really kind of almost have that jaded look, like everybody's going to tell me they're amazing and it's my job to prove you that you're not. And yet when it gets in front of our clients at that stage, that it should almost be like a different approach where it's like ultimately your goal is to try to help see how this person could be a fit. But of course you have to protect your business. And it's a really tough line, because I think obviously it goes both ways, but companies have been burned by making bad hires. Like companies, whether it's your company or not, we've heard horror stories of people getting sued, like employment rights or human rights, things. Sometimes it's totally valid and other times it's someone getting taken advantage of. And it just makes it hard on everybody.
Yeah. 100%. All right, y'all. We are already halfway through the show. I cannot believe it. Do not forget, you can comment #Sendoso to win a fun prize today. And I'll show you guys that really quick. It looks like this. There's some tea. There's, I don't know, wafers. I don't know. I'm so blind. I can't tell. Can y'all see what's in there? There's a bunch of stuff in this gift basket, if you can't tell. I'd love for you all to win some fun stuff. So go #Sendoso, comment that. We're going to get Michelle Craig out here for High Five Friday. Brent, I'm going to let you take a little break. We'll see you in just a second. Are you guys ready for High Five Friday? We're going to get Michelle out here. If you've never left a high five before, I dropped this before, but I'll drop it again. We're going to cover my face. Boop, boop. I love this part. I know I get to be so silly on my own show. Michelle's laughing off camera. Okay, there you go. High Five Friday. You can drop your own. Let me get Michelle come in and we'll do the high fives for today. 1 second.
Lauren, I think getting to be a silly goose on your own show is like one of the main benefits. I'm getting over a cold, so I'm a little raspy, but let's get into these shout outs. First up, we have Melissa for Erin. High five to Erin Gibson for being an incredible human who supports everyone wherever they are in their journey. Gregory, back to Pete from last week. Gregory for Lori. She gave me an insight of what in the world is like for this crazy job market for people who have divergent minds that are different than normal. A heart of gold, an angel, and a person to get a pep talk when you're feeling down. She is my Mike Keene, and I wish I had met her 10 to 15 years ago. Gregory, again, love it. Coming in with the shout outs today. For Anna, for being one of the few people on this platform that get me. She and a few others, when I make it big, will be receiving kudos in my acceptance speeches. She is also one of my angels. Joe for Antonio. Antonio has been posting videos of job seekers so they can share their stories with a larger audience. He truly epitomizes #open to help. Thanks for the shout outs, y'all. And it is never too early to get your high fives in for next week.
High five, Michelle. Thank you.
One day we're going to get this right.
One day.
Bye. Happy Friday.
All right, y'all. Are you ready? Are you still here? We have so much other stuff to talk about. We have 2 more topics. I'm going to get Brent back out here in 1 second. But before I do that, there are a few of you watching who you saw me post a picture in a shirt that looked like this. Do you want one? Stay tuned. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. While you guys all wonder how you get one, I'm going to bring Brent back. What's up, Brent?
Yo, happy High Five Friday.
I know Michelle and I always try to get it right, but it's so confusing. It's so confusing. One day, we've only been doing it for 38 weeks now. You would think we would know, but we still don't have it quite now. Okay, if you're just joining us, if you haven't been here, what's going on? Shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome. We're glad you're here for the second half. We have fun stuff going on today. We have this big cornucopia prize thing that I can't tell what's in it. But you can comment #Sendoso to win. And if you live in Canada, you can actually win this one. You're welcome. Just for Brent.
Love it.
All can thank Brent. Maybe if you live in the US, I should make you ship it to someone in Canada. Like I'm making do the opposite. Okay, anyway. All right. We already talked about the Oxymoron that is hiring. You can go back and catch that. We gave you some practical solutions, whether you're a candidate or a client. Next, we're going to move into utilizing your network. I don't know about you, but I've been working very hard to grow my network on LinkedIn. And if you don't utilize it, what's the point? Somebody told me the other day that I was self-serving on LinkedIn. No shit. Okay. Anyway, and then the next thing we're going to talk about, it's not you, it's your resume. We don't want you to be offended. It's not you. You're probably a phenomenal human being, but it is your resume. So we'll talk about that. At the very end, Brent already knows he's going to give us a fun Friday fact, which I'm super excited. It better be freaking phenomenal because I gave him a heads up. But are you ready to jump into utilizing your network?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So my first question really quick is how long have you been growing your network on LinkedIn?
Oh man, yeah. I want to say when I first got into recruiting was when I really started leveraging LinkedIn. So that probably would have been 15 years ago, but it would have truly been 100 days before the end of 2023, where I had this, I think it was listening to Alex Hormozy, and he was had this 100 principle. And I was like, I'm going to post every day for 100 days. And all of a sudden, nothing happened for probably the first, except for the odd thing, for the first 70 days. But because I stuck with it, all of a sudden my last 30 posts towards the end of the year and the first month or two into January and February of 2024, just started taking off. And literally, I think right now, I think I've got over 10,000 followers, which, there's people out there with hundreds of thousands or millions, whatever. It all literally happened probably this year. It was at 1,000 and then 9,000 in 1 year. It was pretty nuts.
It's amazing when it happens like
just
that.
Just from posting content to help job seekers and businesses. And it wasn't, kind of self-serving for sure. I want to be credible, but a lot of it was just about, here's what I see. And this is my advice. Yeah.
What has been the biggest benefit from posting on LinkedIn for you?
I think part of our HR doctors, the H is helpful. I understand not every company that we work with, or not every company in our market, can hire through an agency. It's expensive. I'm a small business owner. I get it. And I think one of the other really tough things is that people think recruitment companies are here to help them find a job. And it's not, unfortunately, what we do. We get paid by our clients to help our clients hire people. And so I've really tried to advocate for businesses and help them see the challenges that exist in the market, and to be able to share some of that context and what we see and what our process is. And I kind of feel like I don't have a problem giving my playbook away, because it's so hard to do. And it takes so much time, effort, and energy for our team to really do it effectively. And at the same time, because we can't help job seekers, like I can't help anybody who calls and says, I'm looking for a job. We literally say, that's great, go to our website. That's all we can do, because we get so many of them. But if I can help job seekers and help people that are struggling, and try to give like advice or context, I mean, doing these lives, I think, are so great to just give, even if it's more client orientated, but that gives transparency that the job seekers see of what's happening on the other side of the table. I think that if I can help, whether it's a business hire somebody better on their own, or help somebody go from like stuck to unstuck, then whether I see it or not, I feel like I'm doing something right, and I'm helping people in my community, which is so tough in Vancouver, this major metro market where we seem so disconnected. And it just seems like something that's like important to me, whether I see like the results or not. And as crazy as it sounds, getting likes and comments and share like make you feel like you're making a difference. I don't do it for engagement or for like followers and stuff like that. I truly do it to try to help, but helping more people, obviously, just it makes you feel like whatever you're doing actually is working.
Yeah. When I started, I wanted to help one person every day.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be able to say the things that other people couldn't, because I knew I had some privilege that a lot of people didn't have. And I knew I could say things. And especially when I started working for myself, I knew that I could start saying things that I'd been very reserved about earlier in my career. And it was empowering. And I think that it helped other people understand that you can use your network for a number of different things. I don't just talk about recruiting on my page, talk about a lot of different things. There's Gabe's commenting. He says, should I join an engagement pod or group? They only charge me $99 a month and promise my network will see results. Thoughts? Should I share like 100 DMs a day to cold pitch all my new connections?
Absolutely.
I love this, Gabe. I do want to say, because I think a lot of people, when I talk about utilizing your network, and there's job seekers who are watching today, when they think about growing their network, they just start connecting with any recruiter they find on LinkedIn. And that is not a great strategy. Can you talk about why just connecting with random recruiters on LinkedIn is not the way to utilize your network?
Yeah, two things immediately come to mind. First is, if someone sends me a LinkedIn request that does not have a message attached to it, I almost 100% of the time don't accept it. I just feel like it's super lazy, and that I'm sure everybody has got the blind request from somebody who immediately, as soon as you accept, like baits and switches, whether it's a salesperson who's reaching out about financial services or something. I just feel like it's such a terrible like first impression. So if you want to start to create a network you can utilize, I highly suggest, if it's going to be to agencies, that you reach out and share your intent. If it's just literally because you came across like Lauren and you want to follow her, then great. Hey, I came across your profile. I saw your stuff. I'm really interested in following along your feed. Great. Don't follow that up with, here's my resume. Will you hire me? You know, like if that's your intent, then be honest and open about it. Like I honestly think if you reach out to me and say, hey, I'm looking for a job and I see that you're not based anywhere near where I'd be able to help, and I don't accept, isn't that like better for you to just know that the connection's not going to happen than do it based on some guys? But I think reaching out to random recruiters, I mean, I can tell you we have people that call my office every single day. In fact, we've made it so hard for them to get through. We've locked our floor off in our building so you can't come up to our office, because we were getting hundreds of people daily who were reaching out to say, I'm here. I want to give you my resume. I want your help. And it's not what we do. We don't even recruit the types of jobs they recruit for. We're not in their space. Like we literally have zero ability, even if we did offer those services. And I really think reaching out to people with purpose. When I talked before about 70% on your resume, 10% on like finding and applying to jobs, 10% on like how you do it, and 10% on networking after the fact, whether you network ahead or after, I really think the most important thing is to do it with purpose and to be really intentional with your reach outs. And again, if someone were to reach out and ask me for a resume review, like if I didn't offer that service, I would want you to be really like targeted and specific about that instead of just sending a blind invite and then sending me your resume as soon as I accept. Like, here's my resume. Can you help me? I just think not all recruiters recruit in the same space. They don't recruit on the same jobs. And if you just are reaching out to say, can you help me? That's not what our job is. It's like, it just seems so like counterintuitive. And to me, it comes across like you haven't done any work and you're hoping for me to do it for you. Whether that is or not the case, you haven't shown me otherwise. And so I really suggest if you do reach out, say I've been on your company, been on your website, seen the open jobs, even applied to it and just wanted to see or make sure that my resume got in front of you or whatever that reason is. I think if you don't do that and you're just spamming, then you're just same thing. You're just sending rounds downrange, hoping that it hits something, and it's a waste of your time.
Yes. So
Rant over.
I want to call something out because there's a few people commenting. It's funny because I never send a message with it. It's interesting. I find more success with blind requests. I want to call out one thing because I've noticed this as my time on LinkedIn has shifted. When I had around 10,000 followers, I was where you were at. And if somebody sent me a message, immediately I'm going to pay much more attention to you and everybody else is getting ignored. Now, my LinkedIn DMs suck. If you have a message attached to your connection request and I accept your connection request, that message is going to open up in my inbox. So unless that message is perfect, I ignore you. Like
Right.
that better be a great freaking personalized message. And like you're saying though, I mean, you're saying I was on your page, I did this, I did that, right? Like it's got to be that level of message because also I'm a recruiter who has a horrible habit of 5 million tabs open. And if I accept your request, it's going to go ding, and then I'm probably going to freeze my computer and just be sitting here for 3 minutes, very freaking annoyed that I accepted your connection request, which isn't going to be good for you or me. But I do think it's interesting. It's changed. Also, Chris points out that you can't just put a note on every connection request now.
That's if
Did
you
you
don't
know
have
this?
a premium. Yeah, fair enough.
So things are different, things are changing. But I think the biggest point that I want to point out what Brent said is that make the note in that connection request personalized, make it actually seem like you've been there. I had somebody who was like, oh, I know you have a live show. That's amazing. Blah, blah, blah. Buy my product. Like, no. Say, hey, I saw Brent on your show and you two talked about this and I totally disagree with you, but add me. Okay, yeah, I'll add you because you paid attention. Whatever, I don't care. Peter says, unless you pay for premium, you can only do 5. It's 5 now. I didn't know that. Plus, people have used settings that you can only message them if have premium, somewhat workarounds with LinkedIn, and people have made it more difficult to connect. That is true. Jamie says that she thinks she's an anomaly. Accept everyone's connection request. Yeah, Jamie, I don't think everybody's like you, babe. I do not accept everybody.
I just try to be really purposeful with my LinkedIn. Like the connections that I have tried to really like foster and cultivate legitimate connections of people I'm connected with. And I mean, over the years, I've had many people reach out who it's clear they're financial advisors. They're with whatever firm is. They reach out with a blind request or one that says, hey, Brent, I'd love to get to know more about you and your business. And it's like, no, you wouldn't. You want to sell me. So why not just reach out with an invite that says, hey, I'm a financial advisor. Are you in that? Like, would you be interested in connecting? Well, no, like one of my best friends is my financial advisor and you're never going to steal the business from him. So why waste each other's time teeing up some meeting that's not going to go anywhere for either of us? I think if you were an unemployed job seeker and you needed to leverage your network better or reach out to people, I would suggest the investment of paying for premium so you could send more. If it was 30 versus 5, I would have said that to me is almost a good thing. That's going to mean you're going to be super careful with the 30 that you can send with messages. And then I'll be honest, I send LinkedIn invites all the time without messages, but they're to people where I'm like, if they accept or not. But if I'm reaching out to a client that I'm trying to get a meeting with or that I want to kind of cold call message, I'm going to put a very targeted message in there to say, hey, here's who I am. Here's what I do. This is why I'm reaching out. Like, are you open to connecting? And if they don't respond, at least I know I did everything I could in that message. So I get it. And it's really fair advice that not everybody can do that. But if you were unemployed or employed and you're job seeking, that might be something that's a missed opportunity. And again, based on the volume you said you get, and I mean, I get, I don't know, probably 100, if not more a week. like it's an easy way to stand out, and you don't know what's going to happen on the other side. I'd rather like shoot my shot than not and hope that they're going to accept, because you just never know.
Well, you can have 30,000 first connections unless LinkedIn has changed that. Somebody comment. I'm happy to be corrected if it's wrong. And I've worked really, really hard to make sure that my connection number is like half of my follower count. So I don't even have 20,000 first level connections. I've worked really, really hard to keep it that way. I actually just looked while you were talking. It's a palindrome. I have 19,191 connections. Palindrome. Favorite thing ever. I know everybody's like, aren't you happy you hit like this mile? I'm like, no, but when is it all going to be the same forwards and backwards? And then we'll celebrate.
Yes.
I'm so weird. But you got to utilize your network for the right thing. And as your network grows, you have to be more mindful with it. I got some great advice from April Little when I was first starting out about being super mindful with your first level connections, and who you have in your network also affects who sees your content. So I want the people in my network who will benefit from my content the most, so that other eyes that will benefit will see it. If there's somebody who is in the UK who works in some random construction role that I'm never going to recruit in the UK for this, like, I don't need you as a first level connection. As much as I would like to follow you and we can follow each other and I can engage with your content, I do not need to be connected with you on that first level. And I think that's what Brent's really saying.
Yeah, and I think, like, as we're going to talk about the resume next, after the resume, in my opinion, after you've applied, networking is a great thing to do. And I think people miss a lot of shots when reaching out to hiring managers or decision makers, whatever it may be. I mean, I've had a lot of people reach out and say, can I grab you for a coffee? Can I pick your brain? And it's like, dude, I charge my clients, if they want my time to consult, $250 an hour. Like, for me to do that with you is costing me $250 an hour at least. Like, I could be working on placing a 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Like, there's so much I could be doing, and I want to help, but my business is placing people. And if the reason you want help is to learn about the jobs we have or whatever it may be, maybe it could be a question, maybe it could be something, but you need to be so aware of what you're actually asking for. Like Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference, FBI negotiator, talks about the underlying assumptions we make. If someone asks you for just a meeting, like, what are you going to ask me about? How long is it going to be? Is it going to be a sales pitch at the end? Like, is it going to go long? Like, there's all these things our heads go to. And so I think if you've applied for a job, the easiest one is reaching out to somebody, if they're our hiring manager, just to say, hey, I've already done all these things that you would tell me to do if I was reaching out blind, and I'm just reaching out to make sure my resume makes it in front of you. That's awesome. I would take that 10 out of 10 times, and I promise that would create visibility for your resume. Obviously, there's other strategies where you can reach out to people in the company that are in similar roles, whatever it may be, and reach out to them with a bit of a different frame. Like, hey, I've just applied. I see you're in the company. What was the process like? Or is there any advice you'd have for me? Or something that's easy for them, that's not saying, hey, I want to pick your brain. You don't know me. This could be super weird and awkward, but I want to meet with you and have a face-to-face sit down. If you make it really, really easy for them in your first ask, then you will potentially get opportunities to ask more. And to me, that's the best way to really utilize it for your job search.
Yeah, I'm going to call this out really quick. John says the free workaround to the 5 personalized invites per month is to email people from mutual groups. Nice. So I didn't think about this, but you can join a lot of groups on LinkedIn. So if people are in those groups, maybe go find the people that you want to email and find the groups they're in and join those groups. Smart. So thanks, John, for dropping that. Gabe, I like this for you, but if I see anybody with lion in their profile, I click ignore. I found that those people are not the people I want as my first level connection. So don't ever put that in your name. Thanks. Liz says that makes more sense. I'm not asking for anything, usually looking to connect. I will continue to blind request. Gabe says I'm still answering DMs from 2021. Gabe, I just stopped. Every 6 months I put up a post and it's like, if you DM me before today, I'm never going to see it. So try again. It's kind of like my emails. Every 90 days, we just clear them out. And if it was really important, you will email me again. Peter says it's still 30K. Thank you. If my followers increase to 30K, I might start weeding folks out at that point. Jamie, well, let's get Jamie some followers. Are you following Jamie? Go follow Jamie Yates right now. We got to get her to 30K so that she can start weeding some folks out and be intentional with her network. Is Brent on the set of a police drama that is filming? You know what? As long as the cops don't come pull him out of the live stream, I think we're okay.
Okay, you hear sirens in the back?
Oh yeah, we can hear the sirens.
Oh, that's hilarious. I'm downtown Vancouver, right on like a busy like Hastings Street. So yeah, wow, that's funny. Yeah, there's drama going on outside for sure.
All right, we have one more topic. Then we'll do the fun Friday fact and the giveaway. We only got 10 minutes. We got to breeze through this. I'm really going to let Brent take this away. This is his forte, his specialty. I think I know a lot about resumes, but y'all hear from me all the time. So, Brent, when we're telling people that it's not them, it's their resume, what do they need to know?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I think it's just become a lot harder for job seekers when you're stacked up against a far larger amount of competition than you ever have been, and how it's so much easier for people to apply. And that if you're not doing something to differentiate yourself, which sounds like, okay, what does that even mean? But still, when we're getting 100 applicants in 24 hours or 1,000 over the course of a week, the average resume that was hireable a year or 2 years ago is not going to get it done anymore. Like generic, like professional summaries that say I'm a hardworking, driven, like motivated, person. It's like everybody says that now. Everybody's putting data into the resume. Everybody's doing the things that people say. And I think what I try to highlight to people when I'm doing these resume reviews that I do is that two scenarios have to exist. One is you're applying for jobs that you're totally a fit for. And if you were a home run and you had an okay resume, the recruiter would probably call you. If your background experience is so dialed, no matter how like mediocre your resume is, you probably get calls. And if you are applying for jobs that maybe you don't fit and your resume isn't good, you're not going to get calls. And even if your resume is amazing, you still might not get calls. So you're left with really two scenarios. Apply to jobs that you're a total fit for, and okay or amazing resumes will get you there. And if you're applying to jobs you don't fit, you better have the most amazing application ever to try to open that door to the phone call. And so I could literally go forever on this topic in terms of what I think you need to do, but some really short, easy ones are, I think if you're going to put some sort of summary at the top, that you try to really understand like who they are as a company and what they do. I use myself as an example. I own a staffing recruitment firm. If I was applying for a sales position, I wouldn't talk about my recruiting experience. It's not relevant to them. If they want to hire for sales, then I'm going to talk about my sales experience. If I was applying for like a CEO or COO, I would talk about the P&L and my overall operation of the business, not, again, my sales or recruiting, because those things don't directly correlate and align. And it's not about a keyword, something here or there. I think the first part that people really fail to make easy for us as recruiters is the company name. I ask people all the time to review their company. Does anybody know what your company is? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, then why do you just have the company name there? People, I've been in our market for 8 years. People still don't even know who Express is. Like, of course they wouldn't. Why would they unless they're looking? If it was my resume, it would say Express Employment is a staffing, recruitment, and search firm that helps 15,000 people get employed with over 1,000 Vancouver-based companies in these different areas. I'd make it so easy for them to know. I would tell them about my specific role before I start hammering them with bullet points, whether they're job description, accomplishment, whatever it may be. I think companies only have so much time to look at a resume. And if you haven't made it super easy for them to see why you could be a fit, then that's the big miss. And with that, like if any of that resonates, the answer's out there. Like there are experts, there are like unlimited Google resources. I would argue most people I speak with haven't spent the time to try to get educated on what someone looks for in that first 6 to 10 seconds to continue reading to that next 30 seconds or minute. And those are the simple things that you just need to do to make it easy. That are the difference between somebody spending more time and just saying thanks and Xing your resume, moving on to the next.
Exactly. You are just trying to buy time. That's what I teach people when we're working on the resume. The resume is a tool that's going to get you another conversation. But when people are reviewing your resume, you are trying to buy yourself more time from the very tip top of that paper, or the document on your computer, because who prints resumes anymore other than me? I think I'm the only weird person who like actually prints them and still takes notes. I like it. But the resume matters from that first moment. And I coach a lot of the job search clients that I work with that summary section, if it doesn't essentially say in 3 sentences, why am I hiring Lauren for this job at this company?
Yes.
If it doesn't articulate that in 3 sentences, go back to the drawing board. You didn't do enough research. You didn't write it out enough. You didn't figure out why this job, why this company, why right now. All of those things matter. And then you have to be able to say it in a way that they're going to read really quickly. And then they're going to want to keep reading so that they can see all of those details about the companies that you're adding on, which is another great thing that not enough people talk about. Thank you for talking about that. Nobody knows what LWL Consulting does. Nobody would think that's a staffing firm. Nobody would think that I do recruiting. I'd have to explain what I do in that instance. And if you're trying to transition, you have to be able to tell the story of what you're doing and how it correlates and will relate to this new thing you're transitioning into. And some people can start it, but they don't finish that story and make it come full circle. So that's the other thing. Try to make sure when you're talking about your experience, it's coming full circle of how what you're doing now is going to relate to what you want to do in the future.
Yeah, and I think too, like if you read a sentence and you've got hardworking, enthusiastic, motivated, driven, and it doesn't actually say anything, then all these words that sound good. Like every time I have someone say that, I go like, I say I'm hardworking. I get up at 5 a.m. to work out every day. I get to my office at 7. I leave here at 6. I hang out with my wife and dogs and kids for like an hour, and then I work more. Like if you're hardworking, say how hardworking you are. Show me that it's harder working, not than me. Don't use me as a benchmark, but like, what is it like? What are you benchmarking that off? It sounds great. Prove it. Show me if that's truly something that you think is important. You say you're a driven sales professional. How driven? Have you done 1,000, 10,000 cold calls? Done 500 cold calls in a day? Go face-to-face door pulls? Like whatever it is you're trying to say through these fluff words, kill those words and get super focused on exactly what it is that you do that is actually different than what the average person does, and help me see that, because then I'll go, oh, that's really like interesting. Good for you. As opposed to just, oh, he said he's hardworking. Great. We asked for hardworking in our job description. So check that box.
So we must just believe you're the hardest working person ever. No, I love it. Okay, y'all, we're out. We're almost to time. If you haven't commented, comment #Sendoso to win. I want to give you guys this prize. Looks like we had a few of you enter, so we can give that away. While you are finishing that, I'm going to drop this fun thing on the bottom. That's going to be about the t-shirts if you want to buy one. I have a link, but I didn't have time to put it up here yet today. Sorry, y'all. I was slow to get some things done. But let's have Brent give us a fun Friday fact.
Nice. Well, I'm the proud fur baby owner of a Brussels Griffon, which if anyone wants to Google what a Brussels Griffon is, it's a funny dog, which the fun fact is George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, had a number of Brussels Griffons, and that's what the Ewoks are created after. So I own an Ewok, and she is a total forest bear. They're like the weirdest, funniest, cutest looking dogs ever, but that's where the Ewoks and Chewbacca came from, was from Brussels Griffon dogs.
Brussels with a B.
Yeah, like Brussels in like Europe. Like
Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, exactly. There is actually a viral dog whose name is Brussels Sprout. He's a Brussels Griffon. Yeah, they're super cute. So,
this is so cool. Okay, you're always learning something new on this show.
So the Ewoks are from Brussels Griffons, and that's
what's your dog's name?
Yeah, Molly. Jim and Molly. Yeah.
Aww. We just had a Molly on the show a few weeks ago from
I saw that.
All right, guys. I do have a picture of this shirt. I'll show you guys. It's going to cover our face. Sorry again, Brent. Here you go. That's what the shirt's going to look like. If you want one, it says, if you didn't like it, don't come back. The back says the Friday Live with Lauren show. I'm selling them. I'm going to give some away later in the year, but these are for sale. If you want one, I'll get you the link to buy one. They are men's, they're unisex, and they are Bella canvas, so they're super soft. And yeah, just something fun to do. All right, are we ready? Did you comment? Did you do the comment on the, are you going to enter to win? Brent?
Yeah, for me?
Yeah, you. Did you
enter to win? No, I did not.
Enter to win? All right, let's see. Who's it going to be? Let's do this. We had 5 of you enter to win. Lindsay, Gabe, Michelle. There's so many more of you. Why aren't you guys commenting to win these prizes? This was like a whole gift basket with random stuff. Lindsay Dowd. Lindsay is incredible. She was on the show, and I think she actually gave us a dog fact when she came on the show. Her dog is Poppy Long Sausage. I think, did I say that right, Lindsay? Congratulations on winning. But did I say that right? Lindsay, if you're still watching, what's your dog's name? I think it's like a long wiener dog, and it's Poppy long sausage. I think I said that right. Y'all, this was fun. Brent, any final words for the people?
Well, I just really appreciate you for having me on. I think, I've watched a ton of your shows here and think you do a really great job of trying to share info for people, and love the common theme of just trying to help. And I know it's tough out there for anybody that listens or rewatches this. Like, it's tough for sure. It sucks. And, but you can absolutely win if you like put the time, effort, and energy in. And I would say the number one place, if you're struggling right now, is in your resume. Like, there's resume coaches out there. Those are things, but you can totally do it yourself. You just have to spend the time, effort, and energy to like get educated on them. Like I said, I do free resume reviews. So if anybody wants, they can reach out. I don't have anything to sell after the fact.
How can they get in touch with you?
Preferably sending a LinkedIn invite with a message saying, hey, I'd like a free resume review, but I post about it pretty regularly too, and just have a Calendly link that you can book in. And I'm happy to help if I can.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I so appreciate it. Y'all, this is the last Friday in September. Next time I see you, it's going to be October. We're going to be officially in spooky season. Maybe we'll get some like ghosts hanging from the ceiling or some Halloween stuff. I don't know. But this was fun. If you didn't like it, don't come back. Bye.